On today's episode of Titus and Tate, it is our first show, Tate, without our old producer, Louise. We have had, in all the iterations of the show, we've had more titles of our podcast than we've had producers. Do you understand that?
We've only had two producers. We've had three names. Teed Up, One Shining Podcast, now Titus and Tate.
Our first producer got a tattoo on his arm for us. Our second one, Louise, did not go that far. But she is gone. She's moved on to greener pastures. And the reason I bring that up is because one of the last things Louise did before we said goodbye to her was she begged me to do a way too early power rankings.
Yes.
For foxsports.com.
I was there. She asked you to please, Mark, please sit down and write this. You were like, I cannot do this.
I was like, I physically cannot do a way too early power rankings given the climate of college basketball, like the transfer portal and draft decisions, and everyone is eligible to come back. Everyone is eligible to transfer.
Yes.
Coach, and she's like, that's the point of the way too early. He's like, we don't know. That's
Right
the fun of it.
And knowing like, nothing, what do we know?
And I said, Louise, this is madness. This is insanity. Who would be stupid enough to do that? She said, Mark, literally every college basketball reporter is stupid enough to do this on the day after the national championship. Long story short, we felt like maybe paying homage to Louise. We're gonna. I don't even think it's
this
paying homage.
This is for Louise.
I think it's more of like a backhanded, like, now that you're gone, now I'm gonna actually give you what you want. We are doing.
At least it's not written because she wanted you to write this, and that's a tale as old as time. You and I doing college basketball coverage, and you having to write something and saying, "Please,
please, for the love of God, why would you want me to write this? No one's gonna read it." We're doing way too early good guys, bad guys. That's what we're calling it, way too early. Because if you call it off season, I've found that people don't care as much.
They tune out.
They're like, it's off.
They're like, it's off.
Turn it off. You say way too early, you're like, whoa.
And honestly, in college basketball, this is the on season. This is the time where you can see who's actually going to, when the tide is going up.
12-month-a-year sport.
Yeah, exactly. You know this.
Yeah, there is no
Everyone's saying that.
Everyone's been saying it. So we're gonna do some way too. We're gonna suss out the
scene.
The bag wars are afoot. We should say that. I mean, this is. There's a lot going on. There's a lot popping. And I have a feeling the content's not going to slow down anytime soon.
No.
So we're going to do way too early, good guys. Way too early, bad guys. Maybe talk about Tate came in hot today. I gotta say, Tate comes into the studio talking about Coach K.
Yes,
and he's in a tizzy right now. And I have no idea where you're going with this, but
I have tears in my eyes because I got good news. And
well, save it for the show.
Ding dong.
I legit like we're recording like 5 minutes after Tate showed up, and he sits down. He's like, he's like rubbing his hands together. He's like, I want to talk K today. So we're all gonna find out together what Tate wants to talk about with Coach K. All that is coming up. All right, before we dive into it, Tate, I want to give a shout out to Deng Adiyang is the kid's name. He is a walk-on basketball player at the University of Vermont. Ryan Russillo is a huge fan of his. Jake Marsh, our friend Jake Marsh, also went to Vermont.
A lot of catamounts.
The catamounts.
Shout out to Western Carolina, another catamount. Yeah.
Deng Adiyang is the second winner of the Club Trillion Foundation Scholarship. We officially we were a little late this year. Like I don't know if you knew this. There's a pandemic going on. There's a lot of hiccups we had to deal with in the process, but we got there. I wanted to announce it during the Final Four. We were not ready to do that. It has officially happened. It has officially been declared. Deng Adiyang is your winner for the Club Trillion Foundation Scholarship. Shout out to all the UVM people out there. Shout out to Tate Clayton, who won the inaugural one at Mississippi State last year. Deng Adiyang is $15,000 for him. He got a $15,000 scholarship.
Shout out to Deng. I need to look up his tape right now and see some highlights. But otherwise, he's going
to be back.
He's officially a friend of the program.
He's a friend of the program. We got to have him on the show.
Yes.
We got to do that. We got to set that up. But he's only a sophomore, so I think he's going to be back, and you can watch him, so you can buy his jersey, I guess. Has the name, image, likeness stuff passed? I don't know.
We don't know.
If so, sell Deng Adiyang jerseys. We'll
remember Gavin Newsom like 2 years ago signed the NIL paper on the shop, and everything changed.
Nothing has been the same.
Yeah. I just wanted to point that out. I remember that day, though.
We should do a power rankings of all the watershed moments in college basketball in
when
the last
everything
10 years,
changed.
When everything changed.
And I will say, like, everything has slowly changed. You know what I mean?
It has changed. That's the funny part.
There's been an incremental change, but there's never been like this stopgap moment where everyone can point to and say that is the time.
Except
when Pat Forty wrote that article, that's when it was over.
Except when Zion's shoe exploded.
That's true.
That was the one moment that everything
that's what
changed.
I knew.
It hasn't been the same since.
That's when Zion said, "I'm not signing with Nike. I'm gonna sign with Jordan."
It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
College basketball really is like Saturday Night Live and other things where it's the best the best era was always the era when I was growing up.
Yeah, of course.
It's
Yes.
part of that is like when you're watching college basketball and the guys are 10 years older than you, they look like superheroes. And then when you're in your 30s and you're watching college basketball,
They look like idiots.
They look like idiots.
You're
They look
what are you guys
they
doing?
suck.
Come
so
on.
then you tell yourself what happened to this product when I don't know. I would encourage everybody who thinks that like the 80s and the 70s, the quality of play in college basketball was so much better than it is today. They have these full games on YouTube. You can go watch them. For the most part, they're all terrible. They're playing zone defense with no 3-point line, and it's all packed in, and they're just passing the ball around. I mean, for God's sakes, Michael Jordan's most famous shot was basically like everyone standing still, passing it around, passing it, and then Jordan catches it. He's like, I guess I'll shoot it.
It's a skip pass. It shocked everybody.
Georgetown wasn't ready for that. But everybody looks back on that. They're like Patrick Ewing, James Worthy, Michael Jordan, which that game was awesome. That was a great game. That's a bad example. But that play, though, was like, I mean.
Just talk about the 1981 game. That would probably be the better example of it. Bob Knight, Dean Smith, a game no one really remembers, but Isaiah beats North Carolina, and they get the win.
And that's all you need. And you're like, oh, my God, it was so much better back then when Isaiah Thomas was playing. Now, you don't
You're right,
have
though.
a-
SNL and college basketball, they're kind of on the same time loop where, like, 1979 is the start year when it was, like, Magic versus Bird.
Yeah.
This is
Whoa,
when
good
everyone's
point.
there. And so when SNL goes, maybe college basketball goes. We go at the same time.
And the boomers, like when the boomers were coming of age, that was when it was really hot. And then now they're older and they're like, it's not like it used to be.
Yeah,
back
it
when
wasn't.
I was-"
Where's Belushi?
Can we get Elon Musk to host something for college basketball too? Enough of that. We gotta dive into the way too early good guys, way too early bad guys. Do you still think it's way too early? Is it way too early to even be doing way too early stuff? It feels like it might be way too early.
It might be way too early.
Yeah.
I think it's two ways. And there's two ways to everything. Like we said, there's duality in life. There's both sides to most equations. And I think here the reason why we're so excited is because when you look at the offseason in college basketball, it is somewhat, it's a separate show, right? There is the actual season where basketball is played.
Yeah.
And we know what the outcomes are, wins and losses, results by the basketball. But the offseason is a PR war. And the PR war
huge pickup. You get a guy. It's a huge pickup, and you got to get those tweets out that are.
And teams like Duke and Kentucky, and they seem to own this time because they have huge Nike PR firms behind them. But then the little guys sometimes jump up, and I will say this year it does feel like Bobby Hurley is the little guy that's trying to jump up into that pool and win that PR war. And that's what I think is fascinating about the way too early good guy, bad guys, because we can say, Bob Hurley is the way too early bad guy, and it's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't put a lot of pressure on him. He doesn't have to come through with that, but he can just enjoy it, embrace it, soak it in, and be a bad guy. Mark Godfrey was our way too early bad guy last year.
That is true.
And I don't think anyone went to go play for him. Like, he didn't drop any bags.
But for that moment in time, he won as you said, the PR, because that is what happens. Is there's so many transfers, there's so many whatever, but there's also only so many moves that can be called huge pickups by John Rothstein.
Yes.
Or the college
Or so
basketball
you
media
think.
whole. Yeah, that's true. So
knows?
a guy transfers from Radford, goes to LSU, say, huge pickup for Will Wade. And you're like, well, do we know anything about this guy? Not really. It's just a huge pickup. I looked up his stats. He shot 42% from three. That's a huge pickup.
14 points per game.
14
huge
points
pickup.
per game. Huge pickup.
Definitely going to translate.
He's definitely going to average now 14 for LSU.
My second favorite thing about the transfer portal is that they do these photoshops, and it's basically they take the face of the new player that's coming and they put it on a generic body that's been there before. For example, Walker Kessler, who I still love. I know a lot of people don't think I will because he left North Carolina, but he goes to Auburn.
Yeah.
And I have to show you the Photoshop live because it's so bad. Walker Kessler is a lanky man, very John Henson-like, and this is the edit that they put up for Walker. He's the most ripped version of Walker Kessler could ever be, and they just slapped their head on. That is the best part of the transfer portal that I will say so far this offseason.
Oh my God. It's so stupid. This is
all
why
ridiculous.
I mentioned to Andy, but now that I hear myself talking, maybe I'm gonna talk myself out of this. But when we had Andy on last week, and I threw out the idea of
That was last week.
yeah, dude.
It feels
Time
yeah.
is it was last week.
Yeah, it
'cause
was. No, I mean it just feels.
Should there be an end date or a definitive date of like, if you're transferring, you must announce you're going to your new school by this date. And then that can be like the free agency window, so to speak, in college basketball. Would that be better or worse from a content perspective? Forget the kids. That's like, if you and I are now adults, we cover college basketball for a living. And because of that, we have to now get to a point where we say, we don't care about what's best for the kids. We care about ourselves.
That's what they want you to do.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how this whole system works. Is like, forget them. Do what's best for television. Do what's best for lining our own pockets.
Mark Emmert sitting there going, yes.
Forget the kids. For ourselves, Tate, do you think it would be better for content purposes to have a definitive date that say July 4th, say August 1st? On August 1st, if you haven't announced, if you're in the transfer portal gets unplugged. If you're still in there and it gets unplugged, you're dead.
Oh, wow. You don't respawn.
You don't respawn. You just get unplugged. So that's the definitive date. So in the run up to that, it becomes like this big event where we're, it's like NBA free agency. Would that be better, or is the slow trickle of news that's going to happen between now and basically the start of the first practice? It's just going to keep. I feel like there's just going to be continuous.
I do
leaks.
like the idea of an end date, but I also like the idea of it never being over. And I feel like, and I do feel like coaches in general, that's why you've seen maybe a Lon Kruger or a Roy Williams say, thanks but no thanks. I appreciate all the candor. I appreciate the moment in time that I've had with these players, but I'm going to have to step out because I can't recruit kids on other teams. And I feel like that is what we're getting to, where there's like this moral quandary that there are coaches in basketball that are totally fine with calling a player on another team. And
do you think, is tampering immoral at the college level? I don't, because the more I think about it, I don't see what the problem is.
I will say it's maybe not maybe that's too far, but like it is ridiculous. Like it is insane to me to think that you're playing in a season in January, you just lost to Florida State, and Coach Calipari is calling your dad and you. Yeah. You know what I mean? That to me is wild.
We should have a new segment called "Is this immoral or ridiculous?" So we throw out something like.
I mean, it is ridiculous to think about. Like, you have to basically recruit guys. I mean, let's say mid-season, every single coach has to look at his roster and say, "Who do I want back?"
Yeah.
And now I have to kind of recruit them back, give them some extra minutes, give them like 2 3-point shots that they've been wanting to take, 2 attempts per game for the second half of the season to make sure that they're okay and want to come back. I mean, for God's sakes, Mark Williams for Duke, who had this great run at the end of the year, there was all this hubbub. Is he going to come back? Is he not going to come back? Is he going to enter his name in the portal? And they basically had to recruit their best player back. And he did like a separate announcement saying, I'm coming back to Duke, and that's the world that we live in now. It's not a guarantee that you're a freshman and now you're going to be a sophomore. Adam Miller at Illinois, perfect example. He's supposed to be their 5-star recruit that takes over for Io. Now he's going to Kentucky.
Wait, did Mark actually put an announcement out that said he's coming back to Duke?
Yeah.
And he never put his name in the portal, or did he?
No, he didn't. There was a bunch of cryptic tweets that were just like,
that.
It was like, cloud thoughts, and all the Duke fans are going crazy because they're like, what is he doing? Is he going to the draft? Is he going to transfer? And then one of his best friends on the team, Coleman, I think it was his name, transferred. And then people were like, is this a sign that he may be leaving?
Dude, I absolutely love announcing you're coming back when you never said you were transferring.
Yes. Caleb Love did this with North Carolina.
You never announce that you're putting your name in the draft. You never announce that you're putting your name in the portal.
No,
you just put out an announcement that's like, I'm coming back.
Passive-aggressive subliminal tweets.
And everyone says, what? Of course you were coming back, right?
And now you're on every single thread.
Yeah. This is the dumbest sport. I love it so much. Enough of that. We got to get into our picks. So we've set the stage. Who is your good guy? You're way, way, way too early. Good guy of the way too early period.
I will say, I picked this man last year, and I picked him for a reason, because I thought that we were going to get to a certain point where it had to end. The party had to stop, and we had the wonkiest year in college basketball history, and this coach decided to take it to the next level, to make a piñata that was shaped like a COVID ball and spike it into the ground. And then at the spring game for Georgia Tech football in the offseason, he is the head coach of the other team, and he's got a Tecmo Bowl play sheet. Have you seen this, Josh Pastner doing this?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if that's not good guy of the year, if that's not way too early good guy of the year, because he's getting ahead of it, because he flew too close to the sun. We know this.
What if I told you Josh Pastner won too many games last year?
He was too good last year. The expectations are too high. But at the end of the day, he's never stopped being a good guy. You know what I mean? A lot of times when a good guy, things go well, they kind of get above it, and maybe they turn into a bad guy at a certain point. But Josh Pastner is an even-keeled, steady flow. Who knows if the face shield comes back? But regardless, he's going to be the good guy of the year, and he's going to ride it out. I don't even know if Georgia Tech's going to be a great team next year, but I will say they're going to have a good guy as their head coach.
Josh Pastner should grow a beard, as I'm looking at this picture, because he's not going to bring the face shield back. And I think a good move for him, a good brand play here is because you know he can. I mean, look how thick those sideburns are. If Josh Pastner just grew out, like, it doesn't have to be James Harden beard.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like, let's not get crazy with it, but just grow out a beard.
What's Donna's dad's name in that 70s show? That is, like, they should do a show with Josh Pastner playing him as a younger guy. You know what I mean? That is what the mutton chops do for me every time I see him there. And in general, Josh Pastner has become the darling of the ACC, you know? Like, every single media member that covers the ACC, whenever he does anything, they're like, oh, Josh, you're the best. Like, you're hilarious. We love you. He's got all the PR in his favor, but he's not using it for bags. He's using it for good.
Interesting. Okay, so that we can hash this out because I'm gonna give you my pick now. I'm gonna dive right into it. My way too early, way too early. Way too early. It's so early. Like I don't even feel comfortable talking about it. To be honest with you, my way too early good guy pick is Mark Few for kind of the opposite reason of what you said about Josh Pastner. That Josh Pastner has the media in his pocket. That Josh Pastner he has such good guy vibes that anything he does is now has a positive light on it because he's so likable at this point.
You called him the Ted Lasso of college basketball. Yeah. That's it.
And that's where he's arrived. I am sensing the tide turning on Mark Few from not the elite media, not like not the blue blood of the media outlets. I'm talking about the blogosphere, the you and I's of the world.
No, we're the Baylors of the world.
We're the Baylor. Like I'm saying, tier 2. I'm saying if we're doing tier talking media,
we're 1B. That B stands for Baylor. Tier 2, I don't know what they're talking about, but I think you're right.
We're up at 1B now.
We're 1B. Baylor won the title. Yeah,
that's true.
Bumped up.
That is true. I mean, we work at Fox now. We got like a cool set.
Yeah, come on.
That's got to be. But
we're 1B.
But it's Fox Digital.
Shut up.
So we're on FS1 until we get our.
It's 1B.
All right, 1B.
Tier
whatever.
2.
Point is, tier 2 media and below. I sense the tide turning. I'm basing this off of a Bleacher Report article I saw this week. Headline says Gonzaga's Mark Few with the quote, "I wish someone had warned me about Baylor's physicality." And what he was basically saying was like the point of the you're excited about this. The point that he was making is like you can watch physicality on film until you see it in person. It's a different beast. It's hard to prepare for it's hard to prepare for size. It's hard to prepare for athleticism. And he was basically saying it's hard to prepare for physicality. But Bleacher Report knew what they were doing.
Is he saying Corey Kispert couldn't play in the ACC?
Great question.
That's what it sounds like.
Where would Gonzaga have finished in the Big Ten? Because the Big Ten was great this year, as we know.
So
just ran into some bad matchups there. In the so I'm worried that with what we saw last year, Gonzaga goes undefeated, loses badly in the national title game. Didn't just lose the game, lost the war, lost the PR war, lost the
narrative.
All the goodwill, lost the narrative. All the goodwill they build up, they lose. Now they land Chet Holmgren, the #1 recruit in the country. And the question becomes, Tate, we were talking about it when Chet Holmgren committed. Is Gonzaga the new Duke in the sense that like they're going to start landing all the 5-star guys and they're the program that we during the way too early season we spend a lot of time talking about them. If there's nothing else to talk about, let's just Google what's going on in Gonzaga. It feels like they've sort of arrived there, but they don't have the title. And one thing I'm sensing happening to Mark Few, I'm calling my shot way too early. This is a way too early shot call. Is that the idea of the tier 2 media cheering for Mark Few, cheering for the plucky underdog, that has gone out the window. We are trying to make Mark Few look stupid. We are trying to make him look like a bad coach. He's a good man. He's a great coach. He would have been well served to take the North Carolina job, take the Indiana job, take one of these jobs.
Gonzaga's too big of a job.
But Gonzaga, he stuck around, and that was a mistake. And Mark Few, is he the man for the job? Will he ever be able to get over the hump? He has to win the title this year, is what they're going to say.
Wow.
We said it last year. Last year was true. He did not win it, but we're going to say it again next year. And that's where I sense it going with Mark Few. So
I kind of love this, and I like the idea of Mark Few becoming, to go from the coach where everyone says the de facto best coach in basketball. How could you not want to play for Mark Few? This FIBA style, the way he empowers his players, the fact that Gonzaga will fly and play anybody. We do the flip side of that.
He loses Tommy Lloyd. What if Tommy Lloyd was the one pulling the strings with the media?
Yes.
And now everyone turns on Mark Few. And then but here's the thing. I think when and only when everyone turns on Mark Few is when he can win his title. I think that's how it has to happen.
That's what happened with Dean Smith.
Yeah, when everyone says this guy sucks, he'll never do it. Like I feel like Gonzaga even loses this coming season with Chet Holmgren. They don't win the title. They go to the Final Four again and lose. And then everyone's like, "Oh my God, get this guy all the way the hell out of my face." And then everyone turns on him. Tier 1B turns on him, media. And then he wins the title.
I wish that Chet Holmgren would have reclassed and gone and joined Gonzaga at the end of 2020. That's what I will say. Because
why didn't he? I don't
understand that either. Because if he had done that, then he would at least been there for this moment, and then he would have felt that loss, and he would have saw his teammate Jalen Suggs go to the top, and then not ultimately reach his goal.
Chet strikes me as a guy like Few's going to be showing title game clips all throughout the summer to motivate the team, and Chet's just looking around laughing at his teammates, like, y'all let them do that too? You suck.
Yeah.
And he's just laughing. And
that's what I'm saying. He should have been there. He should have been there.
He's not wearing the loss like the rest of the guys are.
That's what they needed, because he and Suggs, of course, together would have been unbelievable. But the fact that he could have had some sort of emotional baggage to carry on, I feel like he comes in, he's got one and done mentality, which is give me my 17 shots a game. And I'm not sure that's going to be the team next year for Gonzaga.
Isn't that what DeAndre Hunter did, by the way, when they lost to UMBC and he was out for the game? And
yes,
then,
he was
making fun of it.
Yeah, he was like, I didn't lose to UMBC. He's like, I was hurt.
He's making fun of Kyle and Ty and saying, y'all sucked.
There is a psychological aspect of that game for UMBC, because if you look at the starting lineup and then you see DeAndre Hunter, you're like, okay, never mind. They have an NBA guy I got to worry about. But when you look at the roster, like the starting five without DeAndre Hunter, there was a little bit.
It becomes more manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right, so we took two very different approaches here. You picked Josh Pastner because the media loves him. I picked Mark Few because the media, I still think tier 1. I think the blue blood medias. I think the college game days, your Gus and Raph, like these types. They're still gonna love Mark Few.
Yeah,
and
Greg Gumbel's gonna love Mark Few.
Greg Gumbel is
Clark Kellogg.
The game day guys are gonna have Mark Few on for an interview, and he's gonna say just the most monotone, boring thing, and they're all gonna slap their knee. They're gonna just cackle laughing like they did with Hubert Davis. And
Jay Billis says something about Mark Few's hair. I wish he had that hair. Mark Few dies laughing too. I mean, that's
Jay Billis asked, "Hey Mark, who's a better player? Would you take Chet Holmgren or Jay Billis?" And then Reese Davis falls out of his chair.
Yes.
And then Mark says in a monotone voice, "Chet." And then they laugh even harder. And then those guys, that's still gonna happen, is what I'm saying. I'm saying the blogosphere, your 1Cs, your tier 2s, your tier 3s.
I'm planting the seed right now. Chet Holmgren, Drew Timme is better than Chet Holmgren, and that will be proven this year.
Are you sowing the seeds of division? Is that what the seed you're planting?
No, I'm just saying, in college basketball, Drew Timme is going to be by far the better player than Chet Holmgren, and may hurt Chet Holmgren's style.
You mean actually better, or like Mark Few
college
better,
basketball? Yes,
like the Zach Collins-Karnowski situation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. All right.
I think so.
Something to monitor.
I mean, and if you're Drew Timme, let me just say, you're going in that title game and you're being told that you're getting forced out for Walker Kessler and Chet Holmgren. You know what I mean? So,
can Drew Timme
come back from that?
Can he guard a ball screen? We'll figure. Way too early to tell. We don't know yet.
He'll do some strokes.
You're a bad guy. You're way too early bad guy right now.
I kind of spoiled it already because I already told you who it is, but it's pretty simple for me, and it's because he is Bobby Baggs, and he is in the desert, and he's not afraid of the scene. And his brother Dan Hurley, and we had him on the show, Coach Hurley. He's doing the UConn Old Big East. We find guys. They're not bad. They're not bad. You know, that the Calhoun era, these 4+ guys. But Bobby Hurley says, send me up to the big leagues.
Yep.
Let me get up here with Coach K and Calipari, because You know, he's thinking, well, how long can Duke last as this premier Nike school? How long will Kentucky last without Kenny Payne, who we all know they miss Kenny Payne. He went to the Knicks. Now they're successful. Wherever Kenny Payne goes, people win. And then Joel Justice, who has been the lead recruiter, a guy who came up with the platoon system. If you remember this in 2015,
That was his idea?
That was his idea.
Well, I don't think that's I don't think that's a feather in his cap. To be
Well,
honest with you,
this is the whole point of this. I think that Calipari has now. He's like, that was Joel's
Yeah,
idea. And Joel.
You wear that.
Yeah.
It's the golden ticket. It's Michael Scott's golden ticket idea.
Exactly. And he's coming over. Joel Justice, who was the lead assistant for Kentucky. Tony Barbie goes, and gets a Central Michigan job. Kenny Payne, like I said, left the year before. So Kentucky, the cupboard is barren. Bobby Hurley gets Joel Justice to come over here. He's recruiting Sky Clark, who came on this show, 5-star recruit.
That's right. He did recruit Sky Clark.
And now there's a chance that Sky Clark maybe opens that commitment and goes to play for Bobby Hurley, learns from one of the best point guards in Duke history. Bad guy of the offseason, way too early, Bobby Hurley.
My concern with Bobby Hurley is that we've been here before.
Yes,
like,
we have definitely been here before.
A million times.
Yes.
To where, how do I talk myself into this time being different?
Because Remy Martin is gone. And I will say this, when you're bringing in the young guys who are, dripped out, let's say, and they've got everything that they need handled for. And you've been here for 4+ years. That has not been your experience. You are not a part of the bag dropping. There's always there's a line of deviation there. You know what I mean? I saw with Butch Davis, just to put it in football perspective, at North Carolina. Butch Davis comes in. He says, we're getting 5-star recruits. The guys that were on the team were like, wait a second. I want that Mercedes. And so I think that the cupboard is clear now, and I think the 5 stars are coming in, and I think Bobby Hurley's ready to go.
I think he needs a rebrand. I think for like guys like me that are like, I've been down this road with Bobby Hurley. I think going by Bobby doesn't help him.
You got the mixed concoction.
Yeah.
Now we've liquidated. Now we know who we are. You know what I mean? We're done with trying to play. We need some gritty guys, and we need some 5 stars. We're done with that. Now it's 5 stars only. That's what I'm talking. That's the pivot that has been made.
I think his name being Bobby, him being hot-headed and shorter, I think you put those together and it feels like too childlike. I think it's time. Like Bobby Hurley tells the world, "I'm a grown man. I'm an adult. I'm 40." The Mike Gundy rant.
Yes.
And maybe that's it. Maybe he needs to rebrand too. I need Josh Pastner to grow a beard, and I need Bobby Hurley to just go by Bob or something, or Robert Hurley. He's not Bobby Bags. He's Robert. Knapsacks. He's Robert briefcases. I don't know. He needs like because it's hard for me. I mean, we make fun of Zach. We had Zach Schwartz on the show last summer, and he comes on wearing sunglasses and a cigar.
Talking about Josh Christopher.
Yeah. And Marcus Bagley, who just put his name in the transfer portal. And like these guys are not Marcus, Marvin. Marcus.
Yeah.
Which one did I say first?
No,
I
you said Marcus first. I said first, but immediately you're already thinking of Marvin.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes on smoking a cigar, and he's like, "It's Bobby Bags time, Bobby Bags season." And I said, Zach, if you guys are ranked in the top 10 at any point next year, you can come on the show and do it again. And we never heard from him again because we've been down this road before. So Bobby Hurley needs something to tell the people. This time, I mean it. This time for real.
Sky
Clark. Just something. I don't know. There's got to be something.
And Sky Clark gives me mad Kyrie vibes. He's like a little Kyrie. He's got the handles insane. And if you have a point guard who knows the point guard position like Bobby Hurley, I feel like it's a good sales pitch. And I feel like Calipari, he's got his own plan that's going on here. And maybe, Sky can stay on the West Coast. So that's my fingers crossed.
Move over Bobby Bags. Robert Sachs. Robert
Sachs is pretty good. I mean, that's I would play for Robert Sachs.
Robert Sachs.
Bobby Bags sounds like a used car salesman. Yeah. Robert Sachs sounds like he owns all the used car dealerships in the county.
Exactly.
And that's what we need. We need Ashley Safer. Yes.
Yes, that's exactly what we need. My bad guy, my way too early bad guy pick is a man who has absolutely dominated since basically since the national championship was played. You start the way too early clock. This man is running laps around the rest of the field. And his name is Mark Turgeon. He is the head coach of your Maryland Terrapins. And
he is. He really is on
I want
to
give you the rundown of his tear. So Qudus Wahab from Georgetown.
The man who led them to a Big East tournament championship.
transfers to a rival. This once upon a time, if you were a Maryland or Georgetown fan and you saw this happen, you would have a heart attack. You'd be like, this doesn't happen. One of Georgetown's best player, maybe their best player, transfers to Maryland.
Lefty Driesell and Big John would have had a fight.
Yes, they would have
in
fought.
the middle of the
Yes.
city if that were to happen. Yes.
Yes. Fats Russell also transfers to Maryland
Rhode Island.
from Rhode Island. Mark Turgeon then gets he doesn't float his name. His name gets floated for him. Tier 1A media floats his name for him. They say, is this man going to take over after Lon Kruger left Oklahoma? Mark Turgeon is a name to watch. He might go to Oklahoma. Whether that was actually going to happen or not doesn't matter because Mark Turgeon took the rumors, parlayed that into a contract extension at Maryland, which is stunning given that if you had to rank the coaches, I don't know how to basically the coaches of the teams right now that are tournament teams that their fans hate. Their own fans hate. Like Mark Turgeon's, if he's not number one, he's close.
He's close. He's up there.
He's close.
Yep.
So
Because he's polarizing as well. It's not
Yes.
like he's like an Andy infield where he's kind of out of the way. It's like Mark Turgeon is in your face and
Yes.
you know him and
he's
is
trying to
very-
fight Juwan Howard.
Yes.
He's
the face of Maryland basketball.
He is very much the face of Maryland basketball. You have the students back when the student section was going on. They would dye their hair so they'd have the little silver touch to look like Mark Turgeon. It was a whole
Very
thing. So,
Bobby Crimmins. Remember they used to wear the blonde wigs for Bobby Crimmins? That was a great time.
Mark Turgeon has been a heel since Maryland has come to the Big Ten. He has got into it with basically every coach, with every it's a whole thing. And you would think Maryland fans would love that, but he seems to get into it with Maryland fans just based on. It's not fair to paint with a broad stroke. I know that there are a lot that probably love Turgeon, but it does seem that there are a lot of Maryland fans that saw the contract extension. They're like, please, God, no.
Yes.
Not like this.
Not like this. Yeah.
So Mark Turgeon says, to hell with you guys. I'm getting extended. And then just this weekend, Tate, news breaks that Danny Manning, former head basketball coach of Wake Forest,
Came on the
former
show.
guest of Titus and Tate, is now going to be an assistant coach on Maryland staff. Mark Turgeon cannot stop winning. The haters are absolutely disgusted at what Mark Turgeon is pulling off since the national championship game, and for that reason, he's my bad guy because there's no end in sight. It feels like every few days there's an announcement that Mark Turgeon has done something that has brought in this guy or that guy or made himself a ton of money. And who the hell knows? Mark Turgeon at this point, I trust that he could like get Maryland out of the Under Armour situation. And Maryland will never get out of their Under Armour contract because the guy is Maryland that made Under Armour. But I still feel like Mark Turgeon is gonna there's gonna be an announcement in a month that they signed with Jordan.
Yes, that Michael Jordan wants Maryland to be his school now. Yeah, it does feel like Danny Manning was the final one where it got me. You know what I mean? All those other ones you listed, it got my attention. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, Maryland's trying to do something. Oh, Maryland's really trying to do something.
Daryl Morcell will be the one who, if Morcell comes back, then I bet the farm on Maryland.
Wiggins is gone, right? Or he's saying that he is testing the waters. So there's like there's most
believe, yes.
he's going to stay in the NBA draft. He'll probably get drafted. So he'll be gone. But in general, when you look at Maryland basketball, like we said, Mark Turgeon, Roy Williams retires. He gets to point out that Roy Williams is the one who got him into the game. So then he gets like a little bit of that affection too, where it's like, oh, Roy Williams.
Yeah.
Nice Roy Williams.
You're a Roy Williams guy.
Oh,
yeah.
so you're not that bad. So you got like a little bit of nice PR there. Like you said, he got the Oklahoma. Oh, he's a top level coach. Other programs that want to pay big money respect him.
Yep.
So that's good. And when you just think about the tradition of Maryland, I mean, not many teams have won national championships in the 21st century. Maryland's one of those teams. They have a powerful brand behind them. They have the ability to recruit overseas, and specifically, some of these places that the Southern ACC schools won't go. You know what I mean? To recruit some of these guys internationally, they've been able to do that. So Turgeon has a recipe, but he's also a turd. You know what I mean? And like we've said it a million times, and there is a chance that regardless of your roster, and we've seen them have great rosters. We remember the Mello Trimble teams when they were ranked number 2 in the country.
I thought they should have been number 1 preseason going into that season.
And North Carolina was number 1, and they played North Carolina and didn't go well for them. And that's kind of the Mark Turgeon story. We have all the pieces, but we're not going to be able to get over the hump.
Yep, but we're gonna muck it if we have to, and he mucked the hell. It's been a hell of a run for Mark Turgeon. Like basically, from the moment he got into the fight with Juwan Howard, really go back further than that. Though they break the streak at the barn. That was it. When he broke the barn magic, did he get the contract extension then? They probably started drafting.
I mean, I think so.
Right
that night they were like looking around. They're like, "That's our guy. That's our guy. That's our Mark." I believe that Mark Turgeon will figure it out in some capacity, but I feel like if you're a Maryland fan and you expect national championships, if you expect a Lefty Driesell type era,
That's not happening.
That's not going to be it. Yeah.
But Turgeon is definitely entering. I don't know if he's there yet, but he's getting close to the Crean territory that Crean was at with Indiana fans, where it almost doesn't matter what you do at this point. Like it's the point of there are a lot of Maryland fans that it's the point of no return with Mark Turgeon. That if he could win the Big Ten, they could make the Sweet 16, and it's like, who cares? Like it doesn't matter. We're never going to make the Elite Eight with this guy, and then the next year he makes the Elite Eight. And it's like, who cares? We're never going to win a national. No matter what he does, it's never going to be enough. And I don't blame. I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying like, it does feel like they've arrived there, and that doesn't seem to matter because Mark Turgeon signed a contract extension. He's going to be around for a little while. So.
Doesn't it feel like Gary Williams' anger was so much more lovable? You know what I mean? Like that's the other part of it.
Because he won. I think that's really what it is. I mean, Maryland won.
I don't know why, but like the red-faced Gary Williams when he's like mad in Cameron Indoor, like wanting to fight a referee, like it just felt so much more approachable than Mark Turgeon trying to fight Juwan Howard.
Maryland won the Big Ten last year being 2020. They won a share of the Big Ten. We remember Mark Turgeon, like they went at the barn and he was bitching about, like that was kind of the game that clinched it more or less. And the first question he gets asked was kind of about that. And he was like, I just want to get home, and I can't believe they made us play
at this time
on this night and all that kind of stuff.
Was it Tuesday at 9 o'clock or something like that?
Yeah. And it was a fair complaint, but it's like, damn, dude, you just won the Big Ten. Like, I don't know, maybe save it for the post-game press conference to bitch. I don't know. Like that was like the first thing on his mind. Maryland, if I'm a Maryland fan, I looked at that and I was like, you're obviously celebrating winning the Big Ten, but then you look at like Maryland almost choked it away down the stretch. It was really, really bad how they played down the stretch in last season. And if I'm a Maryland fan, I'm saying at that time when they win a share of the Big Ten, I'm turning to all the other Big Ten programs. I'm saying, suck it, we're in the Big Ten now. Like you guys you treated us like the redheaded stepchild this whole time. We finally won. We belong at the table. Now kiss our ass. We just won the Big Ten. But then as more time passes, that feather in Mark Turgeon's cap where he's like, I won the Big Ten. Remember that. I'm like, if I'm a Maryland fan, I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, I find myself reversing all my logic of like,
if I'm a Maryland fan, this is the final pitch. Get us out of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Get us to the ACC. Get us where we belong.
Maryland for Louisville. Who says no?
I mean, I don't want to give up Louisville. How about Maryland for Boston College and Pitt?
No, I would say no to that.
Well, you can have
I'm going to go ahead and
teams.
say no. Throw Notre Dame in, and we might have a deal.
Okay, you can have Notre Dame.
Throw Notre Dame
Basketball, we still have their football schedule.
We get women's basketball and volleyball.
And lacrosse.
And you get the rest. And the Ivy League gets...
Dude, I would have so much fun negotiating these conference realignments. So you imagine just calling up someone and like, we'll trade you Pitt and BC so you can have the Catholic school to the Big Ten.
Dude, we should be the arbiter. We should try to be arbiters for that.
I mean,
like they call it. They're like,
let's go.
They give us a call and they're like, we have a problem. We can't decide on... like, all right, here's the deal. Here's what we're going to do. You get half of Louisville. You get the first half of Louisville's conference season.
Can I ask you, what would be your first move if you had to do something in conference realignment right now? College basketball.
College basketball? Yeah, I honestly think I would do Maryland for Louisville.
Okay.
I think Louisville belongs in the Big Ten. I think Louisville is very much a Midwestern city.
I think so too.
I think Louisville is technically in Kentucky, so they're like they think they're a southern
city. And Louisville
city,
and Indiana would be a great rivalry.
Louisville and Indiana would be a great rivalry. I think Louisville belongs in the Big Ten. And Maryland, like it's just a cultural thing. Like Maryland, I like Maryland in the Big Ten in the sense of like the success and the history and the pedigree. From a cultural perspective, that's what's really head scratching. Is that, I mean, when Penn State joined the Big Ten, it was head scratching for a lot of old head Big Ten people. They're like middle Pennsylvania, like we're getting a little too close to Philly. That's a little too much Philly influence in our, good down home Midwestern values. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you throw Maryland in, which is unabashedly East Coast, Rutgers unabashed, and then suddenly it's like it just culturally doesn't fit. Nebraska,
we'll
Nebraska
take Rutgers
fits.
too. Like we'll make Rutgers better. You know what I mean? I believe in New Jersey basketball, so we'll take Rutgers and we'll take Maryland.
You take Rutgers and Maryland. We'll take Pitt and Louisville.
There you
Done.
go. And also Gonzaga to the Pac-12 for basketball. Those are our first moves.
And relegation promotion in general in the West Coast.
Yeah, all right. Easy.
Done. Did we save college basketball?
Yeah, where are the minutes? Write those up.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back, and hear what Tate has to say about Coach K. That's all I'm really going to say.
What a tease.
What
are you, Greenberg?
Hit us with it, Tate. What? Why were you grinning? Why were you rubbing your hands together? What the hell's going on?
Well, we came in and we did the show. It was way too early good guys, way too early bad guys. We usually do Kyle's guys. We usually do Tony's guys.
By the way, did you see? I'm going to stop you with the Kyle's guy. Did you see that the Sacramento Kings put out a clip of Kyle Guy against the Warriors, hits a shot, gets the and one, and whoever calls the games for the Kings said that's Kyle's guy. It must be Kyle somebody. I don't know who it would be that calls the games. I apologize for not doing my research here. But the clip, he's like Kyle's guy. Kyle, yeah, it's Kyle's guy. It's my guy. And he basically stole our bit. He said,
"Are you saying we lost Kyle's guy to Kyle Guy?"
Whoever Kyle is that calls the Kings games says that Kyle's guy is Kyle Guy. And to that I say no. I say cease and desist.
Yes. We got to get ahead of this. We have people using friend of the program all over the place. We got people using Kyle's guy all over the place. We don't have lawyers, but once we get lawyers, we will be sending out cease and desists everywhere. And we will force majeure you out of your
You just
deal.
wait until we're tier 1A media and we have lawyers because
oh my goodness. When I have Greg Gumbel's attorney, it's over.
It's coming.
All right. Speaking of, let's hope that no attorneys come at me here, but I will say, good news. Coach K Successor Power Rankings. I think we need to update it now because I think the timing is imminent, Mark Titus. Because if you look at Coach K's career, he's outlasted Dean Smith, guy that he viewed as his rival that he wanted to go up against. Dean Smith was like, "Who is this gnat flying all over me? Shut it up!" But that's what Coach K was doing. He's like, "That's who I'm going after." Jimmy V was like, "Just shut up! Don't do that! Stop copying me!" But still, Coach K had that era, had that period. And then he had the Roy Williams era that he had to fight. You know what I mean? He had to claw. He had to, he was trying to get scratching and surviving to get to the good times.
The Roy Williams / Mark Gottfried era. Don't forget about the other Tobacco Road.
That is true. And the Sidney Lowe era before that. Yeah.
Slapped him on the ass. we can.
Shout out to Dennis Smith Jr. What a great moment in history. So glad you did that, Dennis. You're the best.
We can't forget that. Okay.
Coach K survived. He wins his title in 2010. He thinks that's the last one, but no, he makes the pivot to the one and dones. He gets another one in 2015. He probably would have won the title in 2020. In his opinion, that's what he says. That's what every coach says. 2020, who knows what would have happened, but we probably would have won. Roy Williams retires, shockingly to him. Roy Williams, younger guy who was supposed to outlast him. He outlasts Dean. He outlasts Roy. The two top 5 coaches at the rival program will now be secondary to the primary coach, the GOAT, as the kids call him, the greatest coach that the world has ever seen, Mike Krzyzewski. And what is Coach K here for? America? Himself. That's who he's here for. His legacy. And his legacy is done. USA basketball, the torch has been passed to Greg Popovich.
Okay.
Duke basketball itself, it will never be a higher peak point for Duke basketball, right? Nike is Duke. They are one and the same. If you like Nike, you like Duke basketball right now. So if you're Coach K, what do you want? You want a farewell tour. And what do you really want? You want Nike to be behind that entire farewell tour. You want a Derek Jeter. You want a Kobe Bryant. You want a Vince Carter had this a little bit, where every single time
he had like 4 farewell tours,
but it was 2020. The season didn't end, so nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
But so we'll throw him in there. Coach K wants this. He needs this. He has to have this.
Yes.
Because he wants to see. You know when people say give them their flowers before they're gone?
Yes.
Coach K is going to sniff every flower. Every single one of them. It's going to be the grossest thing I've ever seen. But he's going to sniff all those flowers. And I will say, the time is now. This will be Coach K's last season in college basketball.
Wow.
And he will get the farewell tour.
Wow.
He will get the Nike press tour, but he will have one last ride. And this ride is going to be long. It's going to be arduous. It's going to hurt me a lot to witness it. But we have to update the Successor Power Rankings.
I like this. So
yeah.
There's a lot of factors. There, as you said, Coach K or Roy retires. There's fans coming back. That matters, right? That he can, if all the arenas are playing in can. Wow, dude, I'm putting this all together now. Duke sucks now. They just missed the tournament. Maybe
we don't
he's just
talk
ready
about
to...
Duke's basketball team if we're doing a farewell tour, by the way. Did we talk
Right,
about
we
Derek
don't-
Jeter's, batting average that last year?
No.
Do we care about Kobe and the Lakers' record that year? No.
No.
All he has to do is have one 60-point performance against North Carolina and Hubert Davis.
The
That's all
Warriors,
that
the
matters.
Warriors clinched 73 wins on the same night Kobe Bryant scored
Mm-hmm.
60 points in his last game, and no one gave a single.
What did
damn
I just
about-
bring up? 60 points.
Yeah.
73 wins didn't matter. It doesn't.
Yeah,
it
no
doesn't
one was
matter.
watching
Yeah.
no one was watching the
And you
Warriors.
didn't win
because
so-
and the Lakers sucked, as we know, and everyone wanted to watch the farewell tour. This is genius. I like this. I'm talking myself into this.
Well, you're not going to like this because the Coach K Successor Power Rankings, aka the Nike Successor Power Rankings,
Yeah.
branded number 1 on the list. Brad Stevens.
Oh no. Oh no, I like it. You know what? I like it. I don't care. I really don't. I'm not mad. I'm actually laughing. If Brad Stevens goes to Duke, this is the best thing for content. Dude, this is so good for content.
This is where we are. This is what I think we are headed towards because there's only for
Oh
me,
my
and
God.
I've told you this since
Oh
we
my
started
God.
doing this
Please,
podcast. I'm talking
please,
about
God,
college
I want
basketball.
nothing more than for Brad Stevens to go to Duke. This would be so good.
I told you when Coach K left, I was done. You know what I mean? It's like when he walks out, I walk out. You know what I mean? It's like this person, the hate that I have for
You're
this.
Frodo,
Yes,
the rings
yes,
in, and you're just like,
exactly.
it is done.
It is
and
done.
you're
We did
just-
it. You
yeah,
know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But if Brad Stevens comes and takes that seat,
You're back.
he's a bigger weasel than Coach K could ever be. Ever. And I say that lovingly to Coach K. And so I am full throttle in. And so that's the updated Coach K Successor Power Rankings right there. The
Just
end is
one. Just
near.
one. Just Brad
The
Stevens
end is
one.
near,
That's it.
And Brad Stevens is one step away.
All right.
That's the update.
I liked it. This is great. Way
It's-
too early content.
Man, that's what I was hit with today.
All right. Well,
hit me.
it
Hit
all
me in the face.
it all adds up. I'm tracking it all, and if I do want Brad Stevens to go to Duke, that would be so good for so many reasons. So many reasons. That'd be so good.
Why else? I mean, why else would you turn down 7 years, $70 million?
He didn't. He was never offered.
Okay, well,
He was never. He never
that's
even
true.
heard from Indiana.
That's right. He never talked to Indiana. But let's just say his wife talked to Indiana and was offered $70 million. And then the ownership of his current team says, but Brad, don't worry. We'll make sure that you make what K makes, which is $12 million a year. 12 is more than 10, Mark Titus. $2 more million worth.
There is
Do the math.
There is the Celtics Duke connection of
Oh,
Kara
it's
Lawson.
It's sick. It's gross. I told you at our old company, I told you I felt like I worked at Duke. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I worked for Duke University. I worked with Duke University people. And the fact that that's what's going to happen, or I mean, look, I'll knock on wood so it doesn't, but
No, I want it to happen. So we're in two different camps there. This is gonna be a tug of war because that would be so fantastic for.
it's going to be tough.
People think I'd be
You're
mad.
going to be in the Brad Stevens coaching tree, and I'm going to be over here.
I know.
just
People think I'd be
yelling.
mad because I wanted Brad Stevens to Indiana. I would not be. Brad, he's a masshole. He made it clear. That's why the content's so good. Can a masshole thrive in the South? I don't know. We don't know.
I just
We've never
want
seen
a
it.
Hubert Davis, Brad Stevens moment. Like, remember Matt Darty and Chris Collins got in a fight?
Yeah.
I want that. I want that again. I want youth on the
Oh
sidelines.
man, you're blowing my mind here. But at the same time, the genius of this, the genius of way too early content, is that
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
As long as it adds up, as long as you like,
Yeah.
as long as it
telling you.
passes the sniff test immediately, which it does. Like the moment you throw this out here, that Coach K
Think
might
in your
be.
mind right now. Coach
Yeah,
K
his
sniffing the
last season-
flowers.
yeah, he's sniffing the
He's
flowers.
still sniffing all the flowers around him.
Would Carolina do anything for him? I think that's got to disgust you. To know that Carolina would. Like the last time K plays at Carolina, they're gonna like do something for him and honor him and on the farewell tour. That's disgusting, isn't it? NC State isn't. State's not. State's not playing that. State's like.
State's definitely not.
State's like we'll send out a tweet or something, but we're not announcing it at the game.
It's
like,
funny because like Roy would, Roy Williams.
Roy would, yeah,
and
definitely.
And I'm interested to see what Hubert would do because I think Hubert,
I don't think Hubert can. I think Hubert has to know. Like,
I mean, could you
we
imagine?
can't-
Because let's just put it in perspective. Hubert Davis, right? You played at North Carolina in the in Cameron Indoor with the Cameron Crazies at their peak, with Coach K at his peak, calling you names at his peak.
Right.
So like the real Coach K.
And if you're Hubert, you can pay your respects, quote unquote, if this is in fact his last season. When you play at Cameron, Like make that but when you come to Chapel Hill, I don't give a damn who you are on the other bench. Like you're in our house. We're not honoring you in our house. That's not
the
how it
other
works.
point I wanted to make. He turns 75 next year.
You're making a compelling case.
Yeah, this is the.
It's all adding up.
Yeah, it's not the PK 80. It's the Coach K 75.
It's the MK 80.
The CK 75.
The MK's. The MK Ultra.
It's the worst branded thing you've ever seen. I mean, it's kind of like the Jeter respect with the 2 in the middle. It's like this is what we came up with.
How many wins does he have? They somehow like tie that number in together.
I mean, too many. Too many.
Oh, that's so good. I love that.
That's my final. Way too early prediction.
Interesting. Well, the one thing I would say that kind of hurts this theory is that I feel like this might be Boeheim's last season. He's got his 2 sons on the team. That if Boeheim gets ahead of it, this could be how Boeheim beats K first.
I was going to say, but if you're Boeheim, you're trying to outlast K. And I think if you're K, Boeheim is already your second. So, like, who cares? It's kind of like...
But if Boeheim announces in 2 months, said Boeheim comes out, and he's like, this is my last season. This is going to be my last season.
Then K will wait.
K will have to wait. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm worried about.
I think K sits out next year. He load manages.
All right, we have the rest of the summer to talk about this. Let's wrap this up. Shout outs, closeouts. Is there anybody you want to shout out other than Brad Stevens to Duke?
Man, that was the funniest shout out of my day. I just want to shout out that the Oscars happened last night, and
did you watch?
No,
I didn't either.
I didn't either. Sorry, I already knew that you were gonna say that.
I also didn't either.
Yeah,
you didn't either. I didn't.
Yeah, I'm like talking to myself now. The Oscars. I want to shout out Trayvon Free, who we used to do podcasts with. I did a Ringer NBA show with. He just won an Oscar. So I mean,
he won the same Oscar Mike Conley won, right?
And Kevin Durant.
Yes. Yeah. How about that?
Yes. 2 Distant Strangers was the name of the film. So live action short. They win an Oscar. 5 years from doing podcasts with me to an Oscar. That is a great climb.
Quite a come
yeah,
up.
that's how you get away.
Does that elevate Trayvon into 1A media? Is he tier 1A?
He's tier 1. He's tier 1. I think so.
He's tier 1. He got an Oscar. Yeah. Shout out to Mike winning an Oscar. The same year he's an All-Star.
Kobe, Mike Conley, Kevin Durant.
Mike
In
Conley
that order.
is the only player to ever win an Oscar before an NBA championship. Well, I guess that's not true because everyone that's won an Oscar has won. Like Jennifer Lawrence has won an Oscar before an NBA championship. I'm gonna rework
Allegedly.
that. I'm gonna rework that. I need a Big Ten stat of the day with Mike's Oscar.
Justin Timberlake and the Grizzlies have to win an NBA championship, and then he's like, "Now I'm going for it."
I want to shout out Kim Mulkey going to Louisiana State. How about this? Baylor's head coach.
It's when you say Louisiana State, by the way, it sounds like it's not LSU.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It should go by
Sounds
Louisiana
like
State. Like it sounds. How does LSU get?
It's
USC gets that treatment too. Are there any other ones? I'm thinking like where it really does just sound completely wrong to say the full name.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll call Louisiana State. Kim Mulkey is quote unquote going back home. She played at Louisiana Tech, so I'm not quite sure how that adds up that she is going to LSU to go back home. But this blew my mind that she's won 3 national titles. The last image we saw of her as Baylor's head coach was moving the mask around after they lose to UConn on a questionable call at the end, and by questionable I mean horrible. But the refs were bad both ways, as we know. And she's moving the mask around. And I don't know. She seemed like someone who. This seems like it's a massive deal. Like this would if this happened in college basketball. I mean, I can't even imagine how long we've been talking. And men's college basketball. I mean, I can't believe how long we would talk about this. A guy that's won 3 national titles. If Jim Calhoun at some point at UConn just decides he wants to take like the Arkansas job, we'd be like, what? It'd be stunning.
It was stunning when I saw. I mean, I was just on Twitter, and then I saw LSU tweeted welcome home, Coach Mulkey, and I'm like, what?
How did this happen?
But there were all the rumors, after the 2 weeks ago, there were all these rumors that were saying that she was going to take the LSU job, and then I kind of tuned into that for a little bit, and then waited a couple days. There was nothing, so I was like, oh, that's all rumblings and rumors. This is probably a way to get more money from Baylor.
This is a Matt Painter with Missouri situation, or
or Mark Turgeon at Maryland, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And what I think finally happened was Scott Drew is the king of Waco. You know what I mean? I think Scott Drew won the championship, and now we're all in here. And before it was kind of a split, situation. Who's going to be? You've already won over here, Kim. We're on your side of things.
Here's
Scott Drew shoots up to the top.
We know we finally got an answer. Is Scott Drew a good coach? The answer is yes. He won the national championship. Is Scott Drew a good coaching partner? with the men's and women's coaches? Is there strife? Did he push out Kim Mulkey? I think you have to ask yourself that. I'm not saying he did. I'm just asking the question. That's very interesting that he wins a national title. She leaves. It really is crazy that she left. And it's also crazy that LSU is apparently, I don't know if you saw this, is apparently trying to hire Mark Emmert to be the president of the university now. So I don't know what the hell's going on down in Baton Rouge, but at the same time, I know exactly what's going on in Baton Rouge.
I think they're saying, let's be Teflon. Let's be untouchable. And it's also like if you're Kim Mulkey and you walk in and like the first person you meet is Coach O.
Yep.
You know, that's probably a cool situation. You're like, I don't know what he said, but I love the energy. And then you walk into the basketball offices and they're like, oh, yeah, let's go take you down to Coach Will Wade.
Gangster.
That sit-down meeting, I would pay money to see. Between those two.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Will Wade probably, you know, is just, you know, letting it all hang, letting her know what's up, how he does things. And she's probably like, Will, we coach basketball down here, right?
You could finance an entire season of football, men's basketball, women's basketball recruits if you did just a fundraiser where Coach O, Kim Mulkey, and Will Wade are all like interacting with each other at this fundraiser.
Yes.
I would pay $10,000 to go there and
That
just like watch
is
it
a
all
great group.
unfold and just like
And
watch
Mark
them
Emmert.
all.
Mark
And
Emmert
Emmert's
MCs
there,
it.
MC it, and then Shaq shows up and just throws T-shirts into the crowd. And
Yeah.
he doesn't say anything. He just
He DJs.
he
DJ
DJs,
Diesel.
yeah.
He starts playing house music.
By the way, look up for all the friends of the program listening. Look up Mark Emmert's. I'm gonna pull this up for you so you know what I'm talking about. Mark Emmert's Wikipedia page. His picture. Remember Kermit Davis? I pointed out that he looks like a senator. Mark Emmert definitely edited his own Wikipedia page too because his picture. He looks like the president of the United States. It is the most preposterous thing I've ever seen. Come on, load, damn it. Look at this. Look at that picture.
Oh, he's got the flag behind him? Wow.
He's got an American flag behind him. And then, like, you know, he's got the bio. And most of the bios, like, the only time they bust out these bars for the bios, it says incumbent. He's the 5th executive director of the National Collegiate Athletic Association. He's the incumbent. He assumed office November 1st. Like, the whole structure of the thing with an American flag, like, he thinks he's the president.
Yes, well, he basically is.
Of
And
the
now
United
he's going
States.
to LSU.
And now he's going to LSU, and some would say that's more powerful than the president of the United States.
What
So-
happens when Will Wade wins a national championship? That is like the real. That is going to be. That is going. You
Dick
ask
Vitale
if
is
it's
going-
ridiculous or immoral. That's going to be the first. That's going to be the first one that we have to ask each other.
That's when Dickie V gets out of the game. That's when Dickie V's done, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't sit by and watch cheaters
Wow.
win.
I just thought about
When my good
this.
friend Rick Pitino.
What if Dickie V latches on to Coach K's farewell tour?
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
Oh
like,
my
what
God.
if Coach K's like already doing it? It's already
And this is-
happening, and then Coach K, then Dickie V says, "Also, baby, this is my last year."
Dickie V, Jim Boeheim, and Coach K all have like a suicide pact where they're like, let's all jump together. Let's all hold hands and jump together. And then
And Dickie V gets to call the Carolina Duke game this year because it's Coach K's last game against Carolina. It's Dickie V's last time calling Carolina
Yep.
Duke.
And then Boeheim and Dickie V jump, and K like pulls his hand.
Yeah, he's like, I'm coming back. Got a 5-star. Oh, that's right. No 2022 recruits for Duke right now, by the way.
Oh,
That was my last.
Dude,
that was my
it's
last little
all,
nugget.
It's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
aligned.
yeah.
The stars are aligning, but they're not. By
But
the
they're
stars not aligning, they're aligning.
It's still way too
It all
early
checks out.
off-season predictions. You know.
I want to shout out the G League for ending college basketball. 5-star
Yes.
Michael Foster has signed with the G League Ignite. And also this 4-star from China, Fanbo Zhang, was committed to Gonzaga, backed out of his commitment, is now going to play for the G League. So we had a good run, but college basketball, this changes everything. It does. Nothing will be the same. And the G League wins again. And I don't know where we go from here as a sport, but shout out to the G League for that.
They're trying to get Amani Bates, right? That is the big G
gonna get
League
him.
splash.
And that's going to be like the ultimate, like, that's going to be the meme of the England people in the bar, and they throw their beer and they lose everything. Like, I live look at NBA Twitter when Amani Bates says, I'm going to the G League. And they all lose their, like, this is it. College basketball is dead. Because, as we know, never in history have guys gone pro over college. That's never happened. So this is a turning point, and it'll never be the same.
Yeah, Moses Malone definitely played college basketball. Oh, wait.
He did.
No, he didn't.
Definitely did. Shout out Jordan Bohannon back for a 6th season. That's not a joke. That's not a Perry Ellis, Aaron Kraft joke. That is legitimate. This will be his 6th season at Iowa. There will be a game, multiple games this year, I assume. where Jordan Bohannon is guarding Brad Davison in the year 2022 in a college basketball Big Ten game. And if that just doesn't get you rock hard thinking about it, you probably don't have a pulse. Honestly.
Yeah, you probably are not a fan of Big Ten basketball.
So
you probably just don't get it.
Shout out to the New York Knicks. I watched their entire game the other night.
The Knicks
played the Raptors.
They're the people's team.
9 wins. It's got me excited. Like the Knicks are becoming, for me, must-watch bad. They're becoming
Kenny
the
Payne.
team. Yeah, they are becoming a team that, like, if you told me the Knicks are playing tonight, I'm rushing home. Are they playing tonight, by the way? They probably are.
I think they are playing the Suns tonight, actually.
All right, I'm gonna rush home and watch the game.
yeah. I mean, look, Theo Pinson, Reggie.
They
Bullock.
are. It just started. They're up 10-5 right now.
It's all blue bloods on this team. They're just a fun team.
So yeah, it's reached, like, I haven't been this excited as a neutral observer. I don't know how to phrase it, because I'm not, like, on the Knicks bandwagon per se. I just, like, it's captivating theater. It's Linsanity, It's win-sanity. They're winning so much that I just want to watch them continue to win.
I know I've told you the story before, but Tom Thibodeau told me that he was engaged to get married, was all set up, everything was aligned, and then he was working in the basketball world, and he told his wife, "I'm getting married." She said, "I know, Tom." And he said, "No, to basketball, not you." So, like, that's the kind of coach you have. You know what I mean? You have a guy that literally is married to the game. So, New York Knicks fans, you should be happy about that.
Finally, the last thing I want to shout out is the Purdue Day of Giving is Wednesday, Tate. So get your pocketbooks, get your checkbooks ready. Your
Robbie Hummel.
Get it ready. I last year very famously, extensively covered by the media at large, my $35 donation to the Purdue University Neil Armstrong Fund. I am on the fence as to whether I donate this year. I felt like Purdue's role in Oral Roberts beating Ohio State, that took place in Mackey Arena, and I feel like
Carolina lost to Brad Davison 29-6 in Mackey Arena.
Mackey Arena as well. So I feel like there's some bad juju with Purdue in my life right now, but I also know that it would make my mother very happy if I donated money in her name, so I probably will end up doing it. But for the rest of you, I wanted to call attention to it. Wednesday is the day Purdue University will ask you for money, and you're supposed to just say yes. Here's some money.
Yes. UGA also doing this now. A lot of
schools are doing it.
They're picking it up because at the end of the day,
it's genius.
They just said we want offerings.
We need to. One of the things I pitched to Ringer when I knew it was time to go is I pitched to the higher ups a Ringer OSP Day of Giving, where we did like a telethon, and we had all the friends of the program, a live telethon streaming on Twitter, where we had all the friends of the program call in and just give us money, and it was for no cost. Like, we put it clear as day in print, like, this is for like, it's just going into our pockets. And then we had like a thermometer that we'd fill in for Kyle's beer fund. And we tried to get this
Kyle,
dark.
By the way, can we just say
dead,
that,
dude? Kyle, if you're listening, like,
yeah, we're upset with you. we lose
text
our
us back,
producer.
dude.
Yeah, what's going on?
But I wanted to have, like, $69 thermometer and like just fill it in as the money comes in for Kyle's darkroom fund.
Yeah.
And they all looked at me like, this is the worst idea I've ever heard.
They said, what's OSP? Could you please tell us what that means?
I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna quit. See you guys.
C'est la vie. Yeah. No, good times.
Is that it? Do we have anything else?
Honestly, I have no more shout outs because I'm still fired up about Coach K.
Yeah.
The farewell tour.
Let's get it up.
Fingers crossed.
Do you want to do a mailbag?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. We should do that. Yeah, let's do that next week, right? Should we put that out now?
I don't know. You were kicking it around. I don't know if you wanted to still do it. Yeah.
I feel like America. If we do AMAs on Reddit. We did an AMA one time on Reddit. That was a lot of fun.
It sucks because you have to type it out. Dude.
Exactly.
I hate typing.
Yeah. So let's do an AMA on a podcast where you send us in mailbag questions. You can ask us anything.
Literally anything.
Anything. We don't care.
Yeah.
It's the off season.
Except, why did you leave that? Because
we don't care.
We don't care about
We
that,
don't care. But you can ask us anything else. The email is titusandtate@gmail.com. If that doesn't work for you, if you don't like emails, you can go to the Twitter page. You can hit on the little DM button. You can send us a question there. We'll look at that. You can tweet at us. Regardless, mailbag episode next week. We'll probably get, like 30 questions
Yeah,
or something.
we should also get like a P.O. box that people could write letters into. I think that's genius. I think, like, part of the move of new media is, as time progresses, you got to go back to what I think that's like kind of the move. It's just a loop of, I mean, like the way Elon Musk is like reinventing the subway by like making a tunnel that has lights and shit like that, and everyone's like, that's
the
revolutionary.
Hyperloop.
The Hyperloop. I think we have to do that with media, where like we do a literal mailbag where you send in written letters, and then we read them, and then everyone's like, "This is genius. These guys are genius."
Yeah.
and
And my handwriting is on camera now. We just show you.
We're just still like Letterman bits from the early '80s. That's what we do.
Isn't that what every Hollywood
That's what
producer
everyone's
does? They
done.
just watch movies and they go, "Man, this movie, The Princess Bride, is really good. Let's remake it. Let's do it. Call Leo."
All right, so yeah, there you go. Maybe we'll do a mailbag. Write us in. Thanks for listening. Is that it? I'll give you the final word.
That's all I got. And thanks for listening to the Friends of the Program. We'll see you later in the week. NFL Draft. I forgot it's later in the week. Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full Friend of the Program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.